When a man wants to get married, he's only getting married truly for one reason. Because let me be honest with you women, the men can work and provide for themselves. He doesn't need your salary like that. He does not necessarily need you to cook, clean, and have sex, because he can get sex from multiple women. They're giving it out. A lot of them can cook and clean. Their mother taught them, or they can pay someone to get it. So why would a man decide to have a wife? Because with a wife, you can now have love, you can now have nurturing, you can have support, you can have affection. This is what he's supposed to be able to get from a wife. So if that is not what you're leading with in your relationships with men, this is why they are not as attracted to you.
A man who's built his life financially stable, emotionally independent, capable of handling his own needs, doesn't marry out of necessity. He marries out of desire. Not for what she does, but for what she is. He's not looking for a maid, a meal plan, or a transactional partner. He's looking for a sanctuary, someone who makes him feel seen, safe, and loved on a soul level. That's why so many high-value men stay single. Not because they can't find women, but because most women show up offering things he already has. They think bringing their looks or personality is enough, but if that's all they offer, they're replaceable. What he craves, what he'll commit to, is emotional depth, warmth, care, loyalty, a soft place to land after a hard day. And here's the wake-up call. If you're not leading with that, if you're cold, detached, conditional, or treating love like a negotiation, don't be surprised when he's not attracted. Because you're not giving him a reason to choose you over freedom. She's absolutely on point. A successful man doesn't need a woman.
You know, one day you're gonna find a love that's so real, so deep that it'll all make this pain make sense. Someone who sees you for your heart before they see your face. Who loves the way you overthink because it means that you care. Who adores your laugh even when you hate it. Someone who holds you close even on your worst days, because to them, you're still the best thing that ever happened.
Fellas, I'm about to say something to y'all that y'all probably ain't gonna like. You might even disagree with me on, but it's cool. Usually when the intimacy is starting to leave the relationship, the first thing we want to do is blame. You don't this, I'm tired of begging you that. When the reality is, majority of the time, it's because we stopped doing the things that will make them want us throughout the day. And remember, as the leader of the relationship, it's our job to lead the ship, right? So reality check time. Remember when you used to walk in the house and she would be doing dishes and you would wrap your arms around her, kiss her on the back of the neck? I bet you stopped doing that. Remember when she used to walk through the house looking all good and you would smack her on the ass? I bet you stopped doing that. Remember when you used to text her throughout the day, letting her know how fine she was and how you couldn't wait to get a hold of her? I bet you stopped doing that. The point is, women typically are not turn off, turn on type, right? Usually they're like a bucket. You need to fill this bucket up so that by the end of the day, the bucket is overflowing, meaning she can't wait to get to you. So if you stop doing those things, stop blaming everything on her. It's your job as the leader of the relationship to fix the problem, so fix the problem.
He calls it like it is. Remember when you used to walk in the door and she'd wrap her arms around you, kiss your neck, make you feel wanted? Chances are that started fading when you stopped showing up first. When you stopped sending those midday texts saying, "I can't stop thinking about you." When you stopped playfully smacking her ass as she walked by. When you stopped being intentional with affection, not just on date nights, but throughout the day. And here's the truth women often embody. They're like a bucket. Not cold or broken, just empty. You have to fill them daily with attention, appreciation, flirtation, touch. Not grand gestures, the little things. A whisper, a glance, a hand on the lower back. That constant drip of "I want you" energy. When that stops, the bucket runs dry. She doesn't wake up one day and decide to stop being attracted. She wakes up after months of silence, routine, and emotional flatline, and realizes the spark is gone. But instead of blaming her, he says, as the leader of the relationship, it starts with you. Not control, initiative. If you want passion back, reignite it. Be the first to text. Be the first to touch. Be the first to say something sexy. Remind her why she fell for you, not through words, but through behavior, because attraction isn't magic, it's maintenance. And yes, it can be tiring. Relationships take work. But here's the real cost. Giving up and chasing someone new only repeats the cycle, because every woman starts with a full bucket. But if you don't keep filling it, the next one will fade too.
Somebody said that being in a healthy relationship and being with someone who is secure with themselves is so humbling. Because you don't gotta text all day or talk all day for you to still admire me and love me the same way you did yesterday. We have separate lives and you're an addition to my life, but not my whole life. Okay? And if something's wrong, we can communicate about it and not argue at all, and not raise our voices. And you don't gotta share your location with me because you trust me. And you will hope that I trust you. Okay? I think that some of us get so stuck in the social media world where you see people, cheating and just not being good people. You forget that there's actually great people out here who still want that fairy tale ending, and they're gonna do everything to get that. Not everybody's a cheater. Not everybody out to do you wrong. And until you realize that, you will never experience the love that you deserve.
A healthy relationship doesn't feel like a cage. It feels like freedom with someone you trust. You don't demand location pings or phone checks because you know honesty isn't enforced. It's lived. If something's wrong, you talk. Calmly, clearly. Not scream, not attack, not play games. There's no fear, no control, just mutual respect. But here's what breaks your heart. So many people have forgotten this kind of love exists. They've been burned, or worse, they've been flooded with social media stories of cheating, betrayal, manipulation. And so they assume everyone is out to hurt them, that every connection ends in pain. But in reality, there are still good people out there. People who want that fairy tale ending not because it's easy, but because they're willing to fight for it. They show up, they stay, they build. The real tragedy? So many of them get lost in the noise, drowned out by the ones who aren't looking for love at all. The ones who treat dating like a transaction. I want someone rich from a wealthy family who can buy me designer bags and take me on trips. And what do they offer in return? Nothing. No skills, no emotional depth, no loyalty, just their presence, as if that alone should be enough. And let's be honest, too many people now wear their materialistic standards like a badge. I only date 6 figures, or he has to own property before I consider him. But where's their value? Can they cook, communicate, comfort, contribute? Or are they just waiting to be rescued?
When you flip on the TV or, whatever media you're using, you're not hearing about the women usually. It's about the men's game. So, that's so critical.
The women got a pool, or got paid out from a pool of $30 million from the Women's World Cup. The men would draw from a pool of $400 million, okay? $400 million, $30 million. Why is that? It's because the Men's World Cup generates $6 billion in revenue. The Women's World Cup generates $131 million in revenue. If you want to talk about pay disparity, the Women's World Cup players get paid out 20% of the total revenue. The men get paid out 7%. As a percentage point, they are getting much more. The problem is, for anybody desiring equal pay, and by the way, I think equal pay is a ridiculous concept in and of itself. If the women generate more revenue, they should get paid more than the men. Don't strive for getting the same, strive for getting what you're worth. And if you're worth more, then get more.
He drops the truth bomb. Women get paid 21% of the tournament's total revenue. Men, only 7%. So as a percentage of what they generate, women are actually compensated at a much higher rate. The issue isn't discrimination, it's economics. The men's game brings in more viewers, more sponsors, more global attention, which means more money. And in any industry, entertainment, tech, sales, pay follows profit. And yes, if the women's game grows its audience, expands its reach, and starts pulling in billions, they should absolutely be paid like it. But right now, demanding equal pay when the revenue is nowhere close isn't equality, it's entitlement. Real fairness isn't giving equal money for unequal output. It's rewarding people based on the value they create. And here's the overlooked point. Men aren't overpaid. They're underpaid relative to the revenue they generate. If the Men's World Cup makes $6 billion and they only get 7% of that back in prize money, that means FIFA keeps over $5.5 billion. So before we blame male athletes for making too much, maybe we should ask why they're not getting a bigger cut. So yes, support women's sports. Invest in them, promote them, help them grow, but let the pay scale reflect real impact, not political pressure. Because true equity comes not from forcing equality where it doesn't exist, but from building opportunity so it can thrive on its own terms.